Good morning, leaders. I am Christine Henzeya, and for today's video, we will discuss what is grammar, grammaticalizing, error and feedback, spoken and written language, language assessment, and pedagogical issue. In this video, you will find out its uses.
So to start our discussion, let me tell you what is grammaring. So grammaring is the process by which a learner acquires the ability to use grammar structures accurately, meaningfully, and appropriately. Grammaring means producing grammar word combinations to get your message across. So breaking down word combinations to extract meaning from a message without even realizing it. Also, if you don't know grammar, your brain will still work grammatically. The term grammaring was coined by applied linguist Diane Larson Freeman to convey the dynamic nature of the grammar learning process. According to Diane Larson Freeman, knowledge of grammar consists of three parts: the knowledge of form, the knowledge of meaning, and the knowledge of use. So example of this grammaring is every time we are engaged with our friend, when we chit chat with our friends, when we are listening to music and understanding the lyrics, reading road sign, writing a note, you are doing grammaring.
Thank you, Jamie. But there's also another term that I want to share with everyone. Do you guys know what is grammaticalizing? Okay, on a simple note, grammaticalizing is the process when you are changing the role of grammar. How does that happen? Let me give you a scenario. Let's say we use photograph or hieroglyphs to write something. We just draw a picture of a dog to describe a dog and how to describe a house in writing. However, we face a problem where we have to write about a pack of dogs in a house. So we come to a resolution by creating a new symbol to describe a group. We use calamansi to symbolize the concept of group. We'll draw a dog, calamansi, and house. That will mean like a pack of dogs in house. We create a new rules in our grammar. We also do grammaticalization when use Taglish or Konyo.
Thank you, Mark. It's nice to know about the grammaticalizing is. I didn't know we are already doing it, but we just don't know there's a such a things as that. Anyways, Juriel and I are going to share something too about error correction and feedback. So, what is error? The word error comes from the Latin word errare, which means to stray or err, while corrections come from the Latin word corregere, meaning to make straight or being into order. In short, it is a process with suggestion to make it right for improvement. Error correction is a great tool to use, especially for language learner like us. In Osikulo in 2014 cited that according to the observation and research, learners are eager to be corrected. In fact, error correction can be done through self-checking as well. Oh, okay. Nice.
Thank you, Pritzi. However, the problem with self-correction method is sometimes we don't know what we are in the wrong to begin with, or maybe we feel that something's off or doesn't feel right, but we don't know what exactly is it. It makes it harder to correct yourself if you don't have a patient knowledge about the basics that make up the language. This is where feedback comes into play. Feedback is from another person's perspective, let's just say your mentor. As defined in an article from Merriam-Webster, feedback is a helpful information criticism given to someone say what
be done to improve? Feedback may start with error correction. First, then they will provide further explanation about why you have said or written considered correction. It is good practice to always solicit second opinions. Cozigalut with 2014 also cited an assertion in his research that language learner requires feedback on their speaking in order to improve their performance, particularly in pronunciation. It is useful to get students to reflect on their own mistakes as a group or pair to observe their own performance. The matter of the matter of distinction between negative and positive feedback sometimes depends on how you perceive that criticism. Anyways, I believe already you know how now to decide criticism it is constructive or destructive. What is constructive criticism? It is feedback offering a specific recommendation that can put into practice. Constructive criticism offers a specific suggestion of how to make improvements rather than general advice. Constructive criticism is direct to the point and simply to implement.
Ah, yes. Let me give you a scenario. We were having a class discussion about technical writing, and Sir Genesis asked for our opinion on a certain topic. Now, one of our classmates started her statement for me. I want to. Right away, Sir Genesis pointed out an error she committed, saying that it is a common mistake to use for me as used in her statement. But does our classmate know she's using the phrase for me wrong in the first place? I don't think so. Not until Sir Genesis pointed out the error for at that instance. He then proceeded on providing further details, a feedback on what or how to improve or make it right by saying that phrase to me. Is the correct phrase for his statement. Did you get my point, guys?
Yes. So, thank you, Jamie, for giving that scenario. And I am Miriam Laganya together with Miss Jessica Espinosa. And at this point, we'll be sharing something about spoken and written grammar. So, when we say spoken grammar, it is a grammar of everyday interaction. It is informal and natural, and it involves speaking and listening skills, while
Written grammar or language, it is a way or recording language using any of the various instruments like pen, papers, as well as computers. Spoken and written grammar are both important because it is our key to speak English fluently and confidently. Knowing your grammar will help you avoid errors that make your English sound strange to native speakers.
So, in spoken, proper grammar is necessary for credibility, readability, communication, and clarity. Mastering it will allow us to make our work clearer, more readable, and understandable. The main difference between spoken and written grammar is that written grammar is more formal and complex than spoken. Basically, when we say spoken grammar, it is typically associated by linguists with conversation that is produced, processed, and then evaluated in the context of face-to-face exchange or either in a call, conference, and etc.
While the written grammar is associated with the language of book and explanatory prose. Written is well, academic, and highly constructed. So which one do we learn first? Spoken or written? Anyone?
Spoken.
So spoken. Thank you. First, for us, we learn first is spoken. Why? It is because it is natural. We can talk without even learning it. We can talk and say what we want even when we were a baby without even studying it. So, that's it. I something?
Thank you, Miss Jessica and Miriam. By the way, I'm Zairine together with Miss Henzi. We'll tell the definition and types of language assessment. Assessment is a process of gathering evidence of student performance over a period of time to determine learning and mastery skills. It is objectivity because you're creating objectives and goals that you want to achieve at the end of the lesson. So, assessing student output has always been a daunting task to our language teachers. Why? It's because they do not only need to provide feedback on grammar and mechanics but also on the content. Language assessment is a measure of proficiency of the learners in a given language. As a Filipino, it is quite difficult for us to learn the English language since we have this mother tongue or the dialect we use in our days, right?
Yeah.
As a future educator, it is our responsibility to assess students' learning ability and skills, from what they know to what they can do. It is for us to ensure that the learnings they get will be applied not just in the classroom setting but also in real life situation.
Thank you, Zairine. So, there are 5 types of language assessment in assessing learners' ability in language. These are the aptitude test, diagnostic test, placement test, achievement test, and proficiency test. First is the aptitude test. It measures the likelihood of language learning success. This is how quickly and effectively a person is able to learn or acquire 2 language skills. Example, the NAT or the National Achievement Test. Second is the diagnostic test. Measures KSA or the knowledge, skills, aptitude to identify strength and weakness in language level. Example, the pre-test. It will help the teachers, even the students, to know how much they know and they do not know about the topics before something is discussed. Next is the placement test. It measures proficiency for placement in the program. Placement and diagnostic test are quite similar because they are both used for educational purposes. Example, the entrance exam. Achievement test. It measures KSA of material directly taught in the course. Example, a quiz or exam after a lesson. The last is a proficiency test. It measures personal competency. It focuses on practical application of knowledge in a field. Example, you are learning or studying grammar. Then one day, you met foreign people. In this situation, learner's competence will be measured. How he or she will apply and use his or her knowledge in grammar to that situation.
Thank you so much, Hansi, for sharing that information about the assessment. So for now, actually as an educator, we are faced with the fact that what society primarily demands from us is to teach. So therefore, the question we should ask ourselves is not only what to teach, but the question of how to teach as well. That is what we call pedagogy. So you may have come across this term before, maybe in your previous subjects, but pedagogy came from the ancient Greek word pedagogos. It's a combination of 2 words, paidos, which means boy or a child, and then agogos, which means leader. So therefore, it can be translated as leader of children. When I say leader, does it ring a bell?
Yes.
Okay, so we as Green Valiants should possess the spirit of being a leader. Thus, our school's core values constitute the acronym of the word leader, right? So, as a leader, we don't just guide the learners, but also listen to them. Do you agree?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, so we must know and understand what are our learners' needs, including their strengths and weaknesses. So prior to this session, I actually had you answer a specific survey and rate yourselves according to how often you would like to want to do a specific task given. So I will actually show the result right now, and it should be showing up on the screen. As you can see, it clearly shows on that most of you have multiple learning styles. And I do so believe that each learning styles have varying degrees of significance to you as a learner. Maybe like 20% as a visual, 30% for physical, yada. So in the book written by Bilbao, the Bill and Corpus, they cited 8 learning styles, which are the visual, physical or auditory, verbal, physical or kinesthetic, social, solitary, logical or mathematical, and naturalist. So in short, we must not focus on one domain alone when we teach. So take note that today's era has new types of learners. These new breed of learners does not have age boundaries. At this point, there is no real specific way or technique or method of teaching because again, our learners are very diverse. They could be multicultural as well. Yes, we have a sample curriculum which is designed by CHED, and that curriculum is flexible in such a way that educational institutions can cover all range of competencies as well as encourage an approach to teaching that will resonate to all types of students or learners. So allow me to share this. Also, the book entitled The Teacher and the Curriculum, written by the same authors I mentioned a while ago, they pointed out that teachers can consider themselves as curriculars for these reasons. It's because the teachers know, the teachers write, plans, initiates, innovates, implements, and evaluates the curriculum. So therefore, we have the privilege, the power to choose what approach suits best in a specific setting. You know, we are facilitators to begin with. Before the 21st century, educational instructions is just focusing on memorization and spoon feeding. But after the paradigm shift for 21st century education, learning environment is no longer teacher centered, but learner centered. In summation, all of those that I have discussed can be categorized into 4 learning theories to approach pedagogy. We have behaviorism, liberationism, social constructivism, and positivism. The first one, behaviorism, focuses on the conditioning approach. So that means you're most likely going to learn something the more frequent you're going to do a thing. And at the same time, liberationism is kind of the opposite of the latter. It's about giving the learner freedom to decide on what and how to learn a thing. Social constructivism, on the other hand, is about learning through socialization. Like, for example, like 2 students could learn something even just by talking to each other. Even us, like brainstorming, we are talking to each other. We do learn from each other. And then collectivism is kind of newer. It is related to learning using ICT tools like webinars, and so on. So, are we good, guys?
Yes.
Okay, so give yourself a round of applause. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So to start our discussion, let me tell you what is grammaring. So grammaring is the process by which a learner acquires.
Thank you for watching. I hope you learn and enjoy watching this video.